Okay, today is another day, and once again, part 3 on this 2002 GMC pickup truck. So the objective is to get this cap on this portable rack, table, whatever. And not that the thing is really heavy, the size, the bulkiness, I have to do my best in balancing that as I get up in the bed of the truck and walk it on over and set it partly on this. That's why I got this piece of wood here. Okay, so I took this piece of pressure treated, and it's definitely wider than one side to the other of the cap. Eventually, the top of this, say, table, this platform, is going to be in there. It'll be that platform, the rack, moving cart, whatever, is 3 feet wide by 4 feet long. So it'll be perfect to cradle this cap. So that is going to rest on the structure of this. And then that would leave me at a real nice height for spraying the top, down the sides, and be able to work on painting that very comfortably. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to keep you guys tuned in, and hopefully, number one, I don't get hurt, and two, I don't look like a fool doing it. So let me give it a whirl, and let's see what happens. Alright, it is loose. Clamps are off. Alrighty. Let's see. So I think I'm going to have to move this a little bit closer. Because all the weight is in the back. Okay. So far it's going according to plan. I can close the tailgate now. I'm going to go a little bit more, and then I'm going to want to get inside that cart and grab it. Pretty much winging it, and hope that my winging it works. I know what. Next move is to maybe, just maybe, get inside this thing. Lift it up. Roll the cart back to at least here, to where hopefully when I go to lift this thing, hopefully, and then remove the board, I think. Woo! Ah, yes. It worked. Ow! That fiberglass, as rough as it is not nice to your scalp. Yes! Well, there you have it. Mission accomplished. No damage. I don't think I look like a fool, but this was a help. That cap does have weight to it. And if that rear door wasn't on there, it'd be a little easier, but I didn't want to remove it because then the back end of that cap would do this. Too much flex. I did not want to risk the fact of it cracking. So that's that. And now I can maneuver this. It looks like it's pretty much center. Yep, absolutely. I love it. Okay, well, the next thing I'm going to be doing, now that the cap is off, I'm going to finish sanding the inside of this, and then this section here, around that. And when that's done, then next is to lift the bed and move it back so that I have room to get between the two. So that's going to be that. So in the meantime, now that you've seen that fancy maneuver, I'm going to put you on standby, and I don't want to bore people with the sanding of that and that, but when it comes time to move the bed back, I'll be using my machine to lift the bed up, because to try to use the lift, it really won't work that well because it's kind of a nuisance, where I could take my machine and the type of hoist that I have, this bed having 4 rings that are supported rings, where you're locking stuff down. You got one there, you got one in the front, and then obviously on the opposite sides, to where I could chain it, rope it, or whatever, and bring all 4 points up to the loop, and then lift it, and then bring it back, and then set it down, so I have the room. So that's the plan. So in the meantime, let me get busy, and this way I can get it done and ready, so that when that panel comes, I can get to work on that and take care of the rest of it. So until then, stand by. I'm back, and I got the third brake light out. I got all the way around sanded and prepped and ready to go. I really won't be able to get that spot until I move the bed back in order to do that. I tried doing it on that corner, it just wasn't working out. The top of the bed all the way around is now all prepped and ready to go, because you know that's where the topper sat. And the front part of the cap is ready to go. I've been trying and working on removing this stuff here, and it's really sticky. So, you can tell, it's not very cooperative. And I'm not going to scratch it off, because then that would scratch the finish, and I don't want to do that. So I have a chemical, I believe it's called lacquer thinner wash. Let's see, wash thinner, 218, and full gallon. Pick that up, because that will not hurt the paint, but it should, and I've been trying to, and it's been working. Put it in the squirt bottle and just been hitting it with it in hopes that with the help of this plastic trim tool, I'll be able to work it and remove it, and this plastic tool will not scratch the paint. So that's kind of how I've been trying this. Got a feeling it's going to take a while. So we'll see what happens. Definitely going to at least get this strip here taken off. See how long it takes. I don't want to spend hours trying to remove it. It's just not worth it. What I probably would end up doing is making something nice to attach to those strips to put a nice finish on it, because it's still pretty tacky. And if anything, you can always get those strips and add it to it. The green stuff I might be able to remove maybe with these, but I don't want to get into spending a few hours on moving that tape there along with the tailgate tape. I don't think the client would really want to spend that kind of money. I think there's an alternative that would be cheaper. That's just my opinion so far, but I do want to at least remove that strip off the top rail of that bed. So until I got it cleaned up and I got this bed moved back where I can get at the rest of that, until then, hang tight, stand by, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, my goodness, that ungodly sticky tape, that nasty, nasty stuff, I finally got it off. Between a heat gun and the chemicals that I had, I was able to, with this plastic tool, it's an interior tool for doing trim, and it's pretty thick and strong. And between the heat gun and working those strips, and there was a strip on the tailgate, as you might have saw, on every one of these high-rise parts. They're not the recessed ones, but the upper ones, on every one of them. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, not fun. And sticky, it took all kinds of chemicals to get that stuff off both my hands. I just got done washing them so I can handle the camera. And even Puss in Boots agrees. She said, don't ever touch that stuff again, and don't pet me, because you got that smell on your hands. I'm going to pet her anyway. Yeah, Puss in Boots. She says, stay away from that stuff. It's no good. Okay, so that's that. And I'm debating if I want to back this out and pressure wash it, but I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. Pressure wash this bed out, get all that nastiness out of there, and make it nice and clean. And the incredible thing is that this truck has over 200,000 miles. And look at that tailgate. Other than some minor little stuff along the way of being a 2002, nothing on the head part of that bed. Incredible. Look at that. You know, it's dusty and dirty, but that gentleman definitely took care of this truck 100%, no doubt. So kudos to that fella, and I'm glad that the now current owner, which is in the same family, is taking care of it as well. That's awesome. So until tomorrow, I'll see you then. So stand by until then. And I got the panel. I was hoping for something, I guess, a little more, because based on measurements in their book, which is like not really a drawing, but it's not an official type thing, I was under the impression that from the bottom of this to the top would be 12 inches, and it's not. Definitely disappointed. I thought it was going to come to that, where that scratch lines are, 12 inches from the bottom up, which Not going to happen. So I'm going to put you back on the stand so I can work this stuff here. But at the same time, I'm glad that I did. I'm glad I did pull this out as much as I did. Disappointed. It's the first time ever dealing with this company. But it is something at least, instead of starting off and trying to fix that nightmare. Okay, now that you can see this panel better, I'm roughly 5 inches shy. Well, this up here isn't too bad. Hopefully I can get it really nice. The hardcore of the damage is here anyway, so, you know, I will be able to hopefully make it really nice. I believe I will be able to get some more of this out once this is cut out. And then I TIG weld it in. I will not be MIG welding it in. It's not my thing to MIG weld it. MIG welding is, the end result is very dirty. It's sloppy. It splatters all over the place. When you TIG weld, it's clean, better control of the heat, less chance of warping, all that kind of silliness that goes on. But I'm going to clamp this on here and mark it out and then cut it. And once I am done and I have it cut out, I will chime back in and show you. So I'm going to put you on standby and get to work. Okay, I am back. And I got the piece off. I got some more injuries. I got cut. Got cut. But anywho, no big deal. Here's the old one. Pretty rusted on the inside here, all along this whole rail, all the way around. I don't know if you can see it. I can see it. And you can see it all through here. The good thing, even though this is pushed in, I have to get it to come back out. I can actually use a hammer and a dolly and, you know, work on it and get it back out where it belongs. I'm going to have to make a new piece out of this, out of different material. Yep. I have some sheet metal, so it's not a big deal. I'll bend it and put a new one in there so that I can attach the new fender to it, because it's got a rail that runs on the inside to match this. Maybe you could see it. See this? So this gets spot welded to that. That's how that one was held on. It was spot welded. And this will go in its place like that. Yep. I like the idea that it'll have, I know you really couldn't see it, but from side to side, I'll have a nice, small, thin, like dime-like gap, even thinner than a dime, so that I could fill it nicely, and it'll be metal to metal, not bulged out, and when you go to grind it, there's not much left. So I got the proper, basically tooling, we'll call it, that will fit in there, and it brings the two metals together evenly so that you can properly weld it back on there. So once I get it all lined up and matched up, all this stuff is done, and bring this back out, then it shouldn't be a problem. Definitely got to grind down all my weld spots. I kind of figured they were going to be gone. I should have enough room in here to work this, put the dolly behind it, and work it, you know, with the hammer. Not a ball peen hammer, but with the dolly behind there, maybe I can get it to do its thing. If not, then I will either use the little welded stems and pull that out, or basically get a piece of metal, because it's not wide, it's thin. You know, it's a small, it's maybe an inch gouge. So if I weld it right where the gouge is right there, that weld, and I used a dent puller to work it, I might be able to get it to almost look like the factory. So that's the plan. I'm going to work on this part first, get this banged out as far as I can. Now that rubber piece that I saved, which is these little round, I guess, bumpers or anti-squeakers. I know on the older Chevys, actually the inner fender on the quarters as well as the fenders, they had what they called was an anti-squeak. And because whether it was the front inner fender or the wheel well fender, the inner fender came directly to the quarter or to the fender, kind of like making a T. So, you know, with the body movement and vibration, it would move and it'd squeak. So they had almost like a window seal. It wrapped around the sheet metal so that when it bumped up against whether it was the quarter or the fender, it wouldn't squeak. You never know it's going to move, and eventually I think it probably even start cutting through, who knows, but most of those guys don't even put them back in there. But I did, and I do, and still will, on any one of those old Chevys I get. It's important. No one really wants to hear it, whether you do or don't, and it's part of the factory build. So you try to do what you can, you get what you can, and do what has to be done. So for right now, I'm going to work this garbage out, and then once it's out, then I'll figure out how big of a piece I need to replace this, and then once I cut it and weld a new one in, and maybe this piece here, maybe I will use the MIG welder, because it'll never be seen, and it will be a little bit quicker. But when it comes to the outside panel, I will be TIG welding it, and that's the way I like to do that. So until then, I'm going to get to work on getting this big dent out of here, and when I'm done with that, I'll chime back in, so stand by. Okay, I'm back, and I got that out where I believe it needs to be. Yep, it follows the same curvature as it goes around, and it's just an inner fender, but it needed to definitely all come back out, and it took all those body hammers to make that happen. Yep, they do different things. So now I'm going to test and see how that mangles on there, but I know I have to cut that out, but I just want to see if there's any pushback when that panel goes on. So I'm going to put you on the stand and let's see what happens. I don't want to be with my back behind it. So there's that. Yep. Yes, I do believe that'll be just fine. I think I probably have to pull this part out some more. Wasn't really sure how far out to bring it, but it's not a big deal. Let's see if I can do it like this. Actually, try some weight here. Let's see if that did anything. Yep. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this piece right here. I don't know how much of it I'm going to cut out, but before I actually cut it out, I will shape a new piece so I have something to go off of. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And I might even bring this out a little bit more. Yep, I believe I will. Going to give you an idea here. I'm going to replace this whole piece here because it's all too much. The rest is too pitted. It might seem like it's solid, but we're going through all this trouble. I want to cut it out and make it right, make it nice. So hopefully it'll last another 200 and some odd thousand miles. Yep. No guarantees on rust, that's for sure. Never has been, never will be by any shop. Will they give you any sort of warranty on rust? Nope. In here, we're putting pressure on there. And then hit it this way. But this isn't deep enough, thick enough. So I'll have to get something else to put up in there to where I can, like, if I had to tap it up in there, and then take body hammers like these two. See the surface of the hammer itself. This one has got a little bit of a crown, and this one is almost perfectly flat, almost. So even if I went in there with this, which won't work, but I'd be able to take that dolly, put it behind here, and with that pressure and hitting it like that, it might force and work this edge that got pushed in there back out. If anything, at least flatten it. If it flattens it, that's even better. So that it's a whole lot less filler. Not that there would be a lot, but try to minimize the amount. So once I'm done making this piece, got to grind these off. Yep, and then figure out on how to work that. And at the same time, I think a pry bar for this, the way it's shaped, I might be able to work that edge out. Matter of fact, hang on there a second. I'm going to get me one of them and see if that idea of mine will work. Don't go nowhere. Keep an eye on stuff. I think. Maybe. No promises, but it's worth a try. Okay. Yes, it is working. And I can take this flat hammer and do that, and it will work. Uh-oh, getting a call. Oh no. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm back, and that right there is a bead roller, and I'm going to be using that to make the piece that I need. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to go grab the metal that I cut. So this piece here, it's about 26 inches wide, which covers all of that rotted out area, and leave the overall height is 4.5. So you might be thinking to yourself, don't look like be 4.5, looks like about 1.5 inches right here, but it's got a curvature to it, so I'm over on the height that I need of it, and that's fine. I'd rather have it bigger than smaller, because I have to go to about this point right here. And once by doing that, then I can take the stick, the marking stick, after I lower my feet, and actually pop these out, get these out of the way. Alrighty, so from there to there, bringing it down to there. See, this 7/8 of an inch mark is the width of the lip that is underneath there. So I'm lining it up with that corner, and the same thing over here, and then I'm at a good height. So I'm going to mark it behind it, follow the contour of the piece. I hope. Well, let's see. It goes Puss in Boots. Because this is gone out of here. There's nothing for me to follow from here really to this opening. So I marked it on the opposite side, and the only thing I could do is let's see, do what I think will work. And see what's left is the same distance pretty much from the top of that line right there to right where that bend will be. So what I'm going to do is that bead roller will put me the crease that I need in there, and I believe once I have that crease made, which it won't be all the way, I'm going to have to come back and cut this lower section out. I won't need all that. So I'm guesstimating that imaging, say, 7/8 to an inch, I'm going to be losing at least 2 inches here of this, and it'll taper to nothing on both sides. So Let me zoom you in over there, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. It is a radius. What I'm going to do is I'm going to test it over here where I don't need it, just to make sure I have the metal in the right direction. It's been a while. I'm going to make a template from this mark, and I'm going to put it on the other side because of the way that's set up. I'll need to do it that way. So I'm going to put you on standby. I'm going to make a template, transfer the mark on the opposite side, and then zoom back in. Okay, I made my template out of the cardboard, and I transferred it to the other side so I could see what I'm doing. You got to follow the line that you made. If I had the electric one, which costs a lot more money, it'd be a little bit easier. But I'm alright with this. If I was using this, say, every other day, I would see if I can motorize this one. Yeah, there it is. Tighten it up. And roll it back. I think that's his one last run. Got a nice crease in there, I hope. Okay. So created the crease that I need, and it's a bend, and the bend at least, is started. So now I'm going to cut what I don't need off of this and finish bending it around by hand because I don't have a shrinker. It's called a shrinker and a spreader. And by using those two particular items, it would help form the bend that I need in there. So I'm going to cut what I don't need, and once I'm done finish shaping it, I'll get back with you, so stand by. Okay, the piece is made. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it is made. Yeah, it took a little bit of time with the dollies and the hammers, and not only going off of this going here, but I also matched it up to the inner fender out here to make sure that I don't know if you can see it, but it's to make sure that the contour is pretty much running the same, and it is, so that when this goes on there, it should match up pretty darn close. I didn't want to spend any more time on making this piece because it isn't as important as this piece. So that being said, I'm going to put this stuff to the side. Step is to cut the excess off on these corners here of this piece because I won't need it, and even give, I don't even think I need to trim them, but I want to make it as to where it's pretty much the same going around. I don't need all this material because then I got to shape that. So to get in there and just change that out, that's the next step. So until then, hang tight. Stand by. Okay, I'm back. The old piece, the nastiness is cut out. Garbage. And the new one made, including the 3 holes. So now I will line this up there and there and clamp it and weld it in. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get the welder up, put it in, and then I'm going to spray some, I think I have some undercoating. I'm going to put some on the inside for sure, and I don't know what kind of coating's in here, but I'll put the undercoating on this side as well. But on this part right here, because I have to spot weld the new panel in with this, the undercoating will not allow that to happen. So if anything, I'll just put a etching primer on here, which will give it some protection and still allow me to weld or spot weld the panel onto this piece once it's welded in. So that is my plan. I'm going to execute that plan right now. So until that's done, stand by. I'm back and the piece is welded in. And before I even hooked up that ground cable from the welder, I disconnected the ground. Just a little reminder to folks, if you're going to weld on a vehicle, you should disconnect the ground. Play it safe. So just to show that, but as you can see, the new piece is in there. Tomorrow I will grind it up, smooth it up, and then undercoat the other side. And then after that piece is on, well, before I go and put that piece on, I will do, like I said earlier, put some etching primer on the flat spot underneath. So it looks pretty good. It's got a nice flow to it. And tomorrow is another day. I got to clean up this mess. And that'll be that. So until then, hang tight. See you tomorrow. Well, it's the next day, and I'm back on the 2002 GMC truck. I have already took the grinder and smoothed out all the welding that I did to that new piece I put in there, including getting ready all the way around to where I'll be TIG welding that and then round the spots where the extra weld was still left on there. And then right after that, I actually was able to get out the majority of this scar here as far as getting it out between the dolly and the hammer behind there and working it. And for the majority of it, I think so far so good. I also took the liberty, like I said, I was going to undercoat behind here, which I just did, and I think I sprayed my neck at the same time because I was spraying it from this side and the fan is on and it nasty. So I wanted to show that. So what I'm going to do is actually get a little bit of a close-up, show you the grinding, that new piece that's in there. It's cleaned up pretty good, and get a visual of the undercoating. And I'm going to lightly, definitely go over this area. I have to stay away from underneath here until so I can weld on the new panel. So, let's see. I'm blocking some of the fans. Alrighty. That'll take care of that. Yep. Then I'm going to put those little black caps back in there and go from there. So my next plan of attack is, once this dries up a little bit, when it comes to putting a new panel on, there's a few different ways. There are these attachments that would go to the new panel as well as that and kind of hold them in place. And then there's these. I don't know if you can tell what they look like. Maybe if I zoom in or slide in a little bit closer, you'll be able to see. Well, here we go. Yeah, these are pretty neat, and these are exceptional when you can actually get behind the panel, access it. So I'm going to try to just use a few of these just on the top end and leave this available, the bottom end of this accessible, so I can just pull it out a little bit, sneak up in there, hold a little square stock that goes behind the panel, that little thing right there, and then this goes in there like this, and then you reach up behind there and you slide the square stock between the two panels, and then you snug up the wing nut, and that keeps the panels perfectly with each other. This to where then I can go and spot weld on either side of it and then take them out. And once they're out, then I'll be able to use the magnets. These are pretty strong, and put them in the spots needed as I go along to help keep the panel where I need it. Yeah, that's the plan for that. Now, if these don't work, because I can't get my hand up in there for whatever reason, then I'll have to just stick with the magnets at that time. The setback, obviously, is the inner wheel well, which that's fine and dandy. No big deal. I'll make it work. I'll definitely get that on there. And if these pieces do hold for the moment, then I'll get the TIG welder set up. But if it doesn't, you keep dropping the darn thing. If these don't work to where I can't get behind it, then I'm going to have to use these and use the MIG welder just to spot that in. I'm not going to weld the whole thing up with that. It will be a little easier because I need two hands to TIG weld. And if I have to use the magnets and kind of hold the out, new fender, I won't be able to do that. So for the spot weld, just to hold it in place, I'm going to use the MIG welder. So I got to see what happens here. This is setting up. It is drying. I really don't want to get the tar on my forearms and on the hair that's on my arms. I already got some paint and what have you on my hands. So I don't want to get into all that nastiness. So let's see. First, I'm just going to try to see how it lines up. I don't know if you can see it. You might have to move you guys a little bit. I know let's see here. This will work right there. I'm going to have to draw another line and cut this panel, truck panel, and I'm going to have to trim the bottom of this over here to meet this body line right here. This side is good. It meets that body line just perfect, but I'm going to have to mark and do that. So let me get the tar off my fingers. Alright, none done on the panel. Until then, stand by. And once I have it kind of locked in place, hopefully, with those square gadgets, then I'll chime in and show you just how it is set up. So, stand by. Okay, I'm back. Obviously, you guys can see the new panel is tacked in place. The method of trying to use these particular fasteners wouldn't work out for me, which was fine. My backup, which was the magnets, they worked. It helped me keep the panel, close to what I needed. And as I got ready with the welder, I started at one end and worked around and tacked it everywhere to make sure that the new panel matched up with the original side panel of the truck. So now that the MIG welding part is over and everything is nice and even all the way around, made sure that, so this way, and actually what it did too, it helped put the curve back in this upper piece here. Yeah, definitely it helped it and it made it solid. So once it's all welded in, which I'm going to get set up, once I have the TIG welder set up, I'll show you what I'm talking about, using the two hands to weld it in hopes that you get to see it. And I'll just, once I give you a little bit of a clips on how I'm welding it, then I'll put you on standby again. This was the tag that was on the back of the fender. Didn't need it to catch on fire. But it's really nicely done. Everything is fitted. And once the body work is done all the way around here, she's going to be beautiful. Back to new. That's the plan. So I'm going to put you on standby for a moment because it's going to take a few minutes to get the welders set up because they don't run on the same equipment. So I'm going to get that set up, and once everything is set up and I'm ready to rock and roll, I'll chime back in. So stand by. Okay, I'm back and I am set up. One little point of interest I want to mention, these plastic caps that are in, except for one, I saved the last one to show you, they go in from the back side. So the other two are in, one's here, one is here, and then this one's about to go in. And it's the third one out of the three. So the other two are in, and I'm going to install this one now. So you can see that it's going in place. And I will find it. Here it is. It's actually a 3/4 inch hole. Yep. So 3/4 inch drill bit, which I have. That's one. Number two is definitely in. And verifying number three. So they're in place. And now I'm going to show you the technique. So we have a filler rod, and sometimes I use the wire from the MIG welder because you lose 10 feet of it once the spool runs out. So I pull the wire out, I roll it up, and I save it for sheet metal like this, and sometimes a little thinner. This is definitely thicker, but they both do the same thing. So down here, which I'm going to bring down the focus, here is the pedal that controls the amount of voltage, heat, call it whatever you will, and this is the tungsten. This tungsten is in here. So this is the gun looking like thing that you hold when you're doing this. So when you turn on this should have a point on it, and it does, and it's set, looks about 3/16 of an inch from the point to the ceramic cylinder. And I'm going to start over here. I'm going to do a small spot to give you an idea on how it works. And with that pedal, I believe it just mentioned that I have a better control over the temperature. There is a gas, oxygen, non-flammable. It's an argon compressed air that will come out when I step on the pedal. It's part of the process. And now I just turned it on. And I will set the amperage of what I'm looking at. And right now, TIG, it's on TIG. That's 78 amps. I'm going to go up to 90, and I won't use that much, but I have the ability just in case, in case I need that little more fire, so to speak. So I'm going to put my thinner working gloves on that you would use to do this, because it does get a little hot. I don't feel like burning myself. I do enough of that. I don't want to add insult to injury. And unfortunately, I can't run any fans because then it would blow the argon gas out of there, and it will affect the way this thing welds. I do need my helmet. That would help. It does get really bright. I don't want to go blind either. All right, let's give it a whirl. I think I'm going to have to put some more light on the subject. Okay, so you get the idea. It's a two-hand process and a foot pedal. And I can control the heat so much better. And that's that. That's pretty much how that's done. So I'm going to put you on standby because it's going to take a while to weld all this in. And I can't just keep going. I got to do different spots because I'm not looking to create a lot of heat in one spot and start having it warp. So, and when this is done, all welded up, I'll zoom back in there and check in with you and let you know and show you what's happening. So until then, stand by. Well, I'm back. And as you can see, it's been welded and cleaned up, ground down the weld. It's nice and smooth. Panels installed. So I know what I'm going to do then is I noticed, and I just got done looking with the old flashing me light, that from underneath the truck, underneath the bed of the truck, I have a decent amount of room underneath behind to go between the inner bed and this panel here, and I am going to spray it with undercoating. Even though this panel is the same color, they got this painted protection on there on the other side of it. I know that once I started welding it, I'm sure it got distorted. So I will be able to spray up and around there and get as far as I can this way, and then go from the this opposite side, go up along there and spray that with undercoating as well. And then tomorrow will be the body work, work all of this, blend it in, this panel, and then this back part here where I did show yesterday where I was able to massage a lot of that back out, which worked out really well. So that'll be a minimal amount of filler. And once that is all done, then I will loosen up the bed of the truck and set it back and get the rest prepped. And that will be tomorrow. And you'll see that stuff on Sunday. Today is Wednesday. I put this video out tomorrow morning. And so this way I can keep them short and show progress on this project. Not to mention the fact of how long it actually takes to edit these videos. I mentioned that before. No worries. I did get a lot of this edge out here. I was very fortunate once this panel was off, before I welded it on, I was able to get back there and work it out. So between here and here, basically, I'll be able to feather it all in with the filler, make it nice and smooth. I'll block it, then I'll prime it, block it again, prime it, and have it ready for the sealer. So this is going to end this video. I do appreciate people watching it. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Maybe you learned something, if it's something that you can actually learn from whatever it is I'm doing. But at the end of the day, I do it because I really do enjoy it. And hopefully, more of this stuff kind of comes in. And I got other projects too coming in. That's nice 33 Plymouth Coupe. Really nice car. That one's going to be getting some work done to it. I will be painting that one as well, the whole thing. So until then, try to get something done. And until the next video, I do appreciate everybody. And have yourself a great night.